Hello, my name is Michelle Schroeder, and this is a class exploring the philosophy of yoga. Yoga has been explored for thousands of years, and the approach of self-transformation or self-realization has been offered in a variety of different ways and varies from tradition to tradition. So we want to take a moment to recognize that each person is an individual, and all of us coming into this workshop are collectively coming through a certain lens of perception. I, as well, myself, am teaching from my lens of perception and noticing and honoring the lineage of teachings that have been bestowed upon me. And as I grow and learn, I can only offer the understanding of these teachings from where I am. So it's important that we gather together in Sangha, and Sangha means community, and we take time to question these lineages and discuss these lineages and to deepen our understanding. I also want to create a space of honoring the beliefs and honoring the religion that you come into this workshop with. And that is something that is very important, as in this workshop of exploring philosophy, our hope is to help guide you on these traditions, to inform you of these traditions, and then allow you to make a choice on what part of the philosophy of yoga that you would like to invite into your life and allow to pass through you onto your clients. So one of the things that we're going to explore tonight or in this class is on Samkyha. So Samkyha is one of the traditions or lineages from the Vedas, and Samkhya means correct knowledge. And through this exploration of Samkhya that was created by Kapila, we can start to explore a map of our consciousness, and this map of consciousness of evolution. And as we evolve down from what we call this ever-pervading spirit, some of us like to use the word God or divine consciousness or higher power. In the Tantra Yoga, Shiva is considered the divine consciousness, and Prakriti is, Shiva and Shakti. Shakti is the divine mother. In the Samkhya Yoga, Purusha is considered this absolute one, this divine consciousness, this never-changing, this ever-pervading essence around us, and also a part of this energy is within us. Another way to talk about this higher energy is through a philosophy talk that I was listening to, and a whole bunch of teachers came together from different religions and lineages and came to agree and discuss on a word that they all could kind of agree on, that they could call this higher power. And their awareness came to an agreement on the great mystery. And just taking a moment to pause on this awareness of the great mystery. And noticing this great mystery is all around us, it's within us, it allows us to experience. And so taking a moment to honor this great mystery, to also maybe honor the light inside of us, inside of each one of you, and the light of ever-pervading consciousness. So just offering a couple different variations of words. In the Upanishads, they use the word Brahma, and Brahma is this ever kind of pervading consciousness or absolute one. So there's a lot of different names, and you might have a certain belief within your religion that resonates with you, and I invite you to honor that within inside of yourself and use terminology that resonates with you if that is something that you believe in, this higher power. So in Samkyha philosophy, Samkyha yoga, one of the awarenesses is Samkyha was designed to help us move through suffering. And within this lineage, there are 3 types of suffering that they speak about. So they speak about this suffering that we feel in the physical and the mental body. They also talk about this external suffering that happens from the environment, so floods, earthquakes, storms, different things that we don't have any control over. And then the last form of suffering is avidya. And avidya, if we break it down, avidya means kind of knowledge or truth, or vidya means knowledge or truth, and a means without. So meaning avidya is the first of the kleshas, or the knots, or the afflictions of the mind from the Yoga Sutra. And this is one of the roots of suffering that we're going to focus on in class today. And noticing that some translations of the Yoga Sutras that kind of comes out of this word avidya is this ignorance of noticing that we are divine, or this ignorance of noticing that we are this spiritual essence. It can also be translated into this innocence of our divine nature. And that's a translation by Nischala Joy Devi, which is a little bit kind of softer from the heart perspective. So we can also focus on avidya as being this spiritual forgetting. So the more that we evolve down through our consciousness from Purusha being this divine essence, or God, or higher power, or great mystery, or light, whatever you want to put it towards. When Purusha, this energy, comes in contact with Prakriti, and Prakriti is like the divine mother. She is the creation of evolution of all of nature, of our being. So through the interaction of Purusha and Prakriti, there is this evolution of consciousness. And the first kind of evolution of consciousness that is down from us in awareness of remembering is called the buddhi. And the buddhi is our intellect, or our intuition, or this higher knowing. It's the storehouse of information. And then from the buddhi, we move down to the ego, and the ego is this place of separation, where we start to become more rooted in this being of I, me, mine, and we forget that we are all connected. And then from the evolution of the ego, we flow into the mind, and the senses start to pull us, and we start to receive knowledge from the jhana indris and our actions through the karma indris. And this evolution of the elements of nature and sound into our physical form. So that's just a brief kind of summary of Samkyha, which we're going to explore when we come into the workshop on the first night. But this class really wanted to go through this exploring of this concept of a higher power. And through this higher power, we want to take this awareness and use two principles to help to intensify our yoga practice. So Samkyha is this kind of awareness of knowledge, the seeker of knowledge, or we can also say Jnana Yoga, which is, Jnana Yoga is this intuitive wisdom that we are exploring through one of the forms of yoga. And through this, we can read spiritual texts, we can study under teachers, we can have certain experiences in our life. And when we apply this Jnana Yoga into this exploration of Samkyha, we move into Samkyha being the awareness of this knowledge, or correct knowledge, or proper knowledge is what it kind of translates into English. And when we take Samkyha and move it into yoga, we bring it into experience. As we touch our mat, we allow the movement of yoga to help embody these practices, to help become aware of our body, mind, and spirit, this connection, to settle us, to diffuse the layers of holding and binding that are present so that we may be able to see and our heart awakens. So yoga is not so much as a religion as a practice and a way of being. So we can take this practice and move it off our mat and use different forms of yoga to inform us through life as we move through experience. And through experience, we release these moments of suffering and we awaken our heart. And through this awakened heart, we start to remember. We start to remember the true essence of ourselves, which is that we are all light, we are all divine, we are all a part of this higher power or greater mystery or God. And through this, we can use the power of intention and attention. So through our practice today, we are going to explore this awareness of intention, or in yoga, in Sanskrit, we call it our Sankalpa. And also having mindfulness or attention when we're practicing, and using a few pranayama techniques and mindfulness awareness as well as asana to help to kind of release maybe the clouding or the veil of avidya. So for this practice, you might need a pillow, a bolster, a block, maybe a blanket, as we're going to end with a guided meditation through the exploration of a story that was written to children around Samkyha. So just taking a moment to start in seated position. So I've been in a cross-legged position. So you might be feeling that you want to stay in a cross-legged position. You might want to stretch out and release your legs. You might want to be in a kneeling. Okay, so just allowing yourself to get comfortable. Taking a moment to just let your eyes come into awareness and just noticing the senses. So one of the ways that we can bring ourselves back into the moment and not allow the mind to float us down paths of suffering is we can come into the senses and use a tool from the 8 limbs called pratyahara. And pratyahara is a withdrawing of the senses. So as we settle, just taking note of the eyes, the feeling in your eyes, whether they're opened or closed. If they're softly open still, noticing what you see, color, textures, the light entering the eyes. Notice if your eyes feel comfortable staying softly open or gently closing. But can you soften your eyes in some way? Feeling this action of grasping, releasing the grasping, and just softening and feeling this receiving towards the eyes. So if you close them, receive the darkness. If they're open, receiving whatever image is in the field of vision. Feeling your breath pass through your nostrils, through the inhale and the exhale. Any smells within your house. Maybe you baked this morning, or you have cooked something and you smell the fragrance of baking or cooking. Maybe a perfume or different scents. Notice how your body is responding to the inhale and the exhale. Sense of expansion on the inhale and a softening on the exhale. Notice your hands touching your legs. Feel your body. Feel the part of your body touching your mat, the earth. Notice if your body feels heavy or light, if there's tension or holding present, or space and ease. Can you allow all things to be present in your practice with you? Notice what you hear. Maybe inside the room with you, in your home, maybe outside of your home. The feeling in your mouth, the lips, the taste in your tongue. Creating this space for the senses to soften, and this intention to let them move inward, this introspection, exploring your inside space. As one hand comes to touch your heart center and the other hand on top, this mudra called Hridaya And Hridaya means heart. The heart is the center of our energetic system, the chakras. It's also the doorway to awakening. This awakened heart, this compassionate heart. It's a doorway to remembering. Offering breath, compassion, love, forgiveness. This metta, loving kindness. As you move into your heart space, taking a moment to listen. Can you rest back and receive any listening from the heart? Sometimes we receive messages, sometimes there's just quietness. Taking a moment to create a sankalpa or an intention for this practice. So dedicating this practice, this time on the mat, this time of self-discovery, to something that uplifts your heart. Might be dedicating it to God or divine consciousness, to the great mystery, to light, to a higher power. Just allowing this sankalpa to fuse every cell of your body. Allowing a soft smile to play on the corners of your mouth, through your lips. To elevate your heart with joy. As you take a moment to rest there and allow this sankalpa to slowly float through the waves of consciousness. Maybe releasing your hands and just opening your awareness to receive this piece of writing by Donna Falls. And she's a yoga teacher of the Kripalu tradition. And this piece is called Who You Are. Who you are is so much more than what you do. The essence shining through heart, soul, and center. The bare and bold truth of you does not lie in your to-do list. You are not just at the surface of your skin, not just the impulse to arrange the muscles of your face into a smile or a frown. Not just boundless energy or bone-wearing fatigue. Delve deeper. You are divinity, the vast and open sky of spirit. It's the light of God, the ember at your core, the passion and the presence, the timeless, deathless essence of you that reaches out and touches me. Who you are transcends fear and turns suffering into liberation. Who you are is love. Who you are is love. So just taking your time to release your legs. Just offering a few circles through the wrists and ankles. Maybe a little bit of pointing and flexing. Beautiful. We're just going to allow any pillows or blocks that you were sitting on to move off to the side. We're going to come up into a few spinal waves. So just noticing this attention, being aware to create an intention to each movement. So as the hands touch the earth, this moment of gratitude, as the energy moves up through the arms into the heart, and the knees, shins, feet on the ground. You have the toes tucked under if you want. And just moving through some spinal waves of allowing the tailbone to release down, the movement to float up through the spine, through the sacrum, through the lower back, the heart, the neck, the head as you exhale. And then as you inhale, allowing the tailbone to lift, the body to expand, the heart to open. And as you exhale and the tailbone releases down and you feel each movement slowly trickle through the vertebrae, you can feel the back door of the heart opening. Just flowing through your spinal waves, noticing your center, the heart energy place of Anahata. Creating space and openness here as you just allow your body to express. Maybe being on your hands doesn't feel good and you want to come down onto the forearms. Just take a couple rounds of circular motion to be expressed through your body. Reversing, going the other direction. Noticing that your eyes stay soft in this place of receiving. Just pause down in child's pose for a moment. Feeling your forehead touch the mat as you become aware of your third eye center, the Ajna or Agna chakra. This place where we feel our intuition, the buddhi, this higher knowing. Maybe the forehead rolls a little bit from side to side, left to right, up and down. Taking another 2 breaths here, and then we're going to come up and just take a moment to go through a little flow together. And you might feel that you keep a foam block. I'm going to keep my pillow close by just to kind of rest underneath my knee when we go into a lunge. So we're going to go up into downward dog. So feel free to modify this practice to meet your body. So if being in a full downward dog doesn't work, you can do it at the wall. Walking it out. Feeling the attention of your movement. Staying present here. We're going to start with left side, so as we root the hands, the left leg rises up and comes through in a lunge. And then we allow the right knee to come down, so this is when we can have some support on the knee. Taking a moment to root through the feet and rising up into a beautiful crescent lunge, just opening the heart. Maybe your hands feel more comfortable here, maybe here. Feeling this expression of your heart through breath, connecting into your Samkyha, this dedication of the practice. You're going to bring the left hand down, and as you reach your right arm out to the side, palm down, you're going to inhale. And as you exhale, weave the right hand through and just bring the hands together in a soft prayer position, just pausing here, just feeling the twist. Root down, open the body up. If you want to express a little bit further, you can push the right foot into the floor and lift the right knee. I'm just going to stay quieter. Coming back, feeling as we just rock a little bit forward and back. Notice if that feels okay, you can extend the left leg and just push through the heel. Just go into this awareness of releasing the hamstring. And then flow back and forth as you inhale, exhale. Inhale, being mindful of our movement, flowing with breath. Sometimes this is called a runner's lunge. Inhale as you express through the lunge. Exhale as you fold forward. One more time. Pressing down. I'm just going to release the block out of the way. Step the foot forward into a forward fold and just hang there. Noticing the difference you feel from right to left side. Root down to rise. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale back down. This time we're going to extend the left leg back. pausing here, supporting the knee. Just taking a moment to secure yourself, rooting down to rise, express through the arms, the heart. I have the wall close by, so I'm just using it a little bit to support me as I work through some imbalance on my one side of the body. Settling here for a moment. Allow the right hand to come down to the thigh, making sure that you have a nice alignment here, staying safe. Left arm reaches out, inhale. Exhale, threading through. Bringing the palms of the hands together in Anjali Mudra, right elbow coming up. Breathing in your lunge. Remember, you can go farther if you want by lifting the back knee, which is your left knee. Coming back down. Just taking a little moment here to shift back and forth. Exhale and inhale. When you start to feel a little bit more open, allow the heel to come up. Sometimes having a block for the hand is helpful. And then you're going to flow. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Moving with your breath, so having this attention of movement, feeling that essence of the dedication of your practice. Two more times. Beautiful. So just pressing into that back leg, stepping back with your right foot, coming into downward dog. Taking a moment here to pause. And we're going to bring the hands onto the lower back and just interlace the fingers. And then you have a choice here. You can start to roll a little bit up through the forehead, draw the arms down. Some of you may come up onto the crown of the head. Awakening your crown chakra, Sahasrara, this higher knowing. You might even pause here and allow the toes to curl under, maybe the arms even come off the back a little bit, just opening. Sometimes just resting the hands on the floor. The buddhi, the higher intellect, rests in the 6th and 7th energy center of our body. Coming into child's pose again once you feel ready to rest. Just going to take a moment of silence here for 1 full minute. For the next few breaths, you're going to come up and we're going to come into a seated position. So I've chosen to sit in Thunderbolt, Vajrasana. So you might roll your legs over and extend them and cross them into easy pose or Sukhasana, cross-legged. A moment just with the eyes softening. When the eyes are grasping, they're reaching forward, and the mind starts to follow in the reflection of the eyes. And when the eyes are reaching or grasping, our language, our demeanor, our energy is all flowing in that same vibrational energy. And this is the energy of the ahamkara, or the ego. And it rests here in Manipura, the 3rd chakra. A sense of fire, and we must pass through the fire to transform. So one of the first things we can do is soften the eyes. Let them receive, let them rest back. And we start to move into this place that we call our witness consciousness, this higher mind, the buddhi. Sometimes the buddhi is called the mahat, or the mahat, which means great. We're going to do a form of release to release the mouth, the jaw. Maybe there's thoughts or emotions floating around inside of us that we feel ready to let go of. And sometimes this breath is called Simhasana, or lion's breath. The teaching is very similar to Simhasana, but bringing it more from the Vayus and the external Vayus. So Vayu is the Hindu god of wind. And the external Vayus, which come from one of the yoga practice texts of the Granda Samhita, is the external Vayu is very similar to Simhasana. And when we inhale, we allow our throat to widen. And when we exhale, you're going to let go of this act of purging, this act of letting go what you do not want to hold anymore, off to one side. Slowly releasing the tongue in, inhaling, widening the throat back to center, and then exhaling to the other side, letting go. Slowly bringing that in. So you can see my hands wanted to widen, my eyes wanted to widen. So we're going to do 3 rounds. So to the left, to center, to the right, to center is 1 round. So just taking a moment, if there's something that you feel that you want to let go of, holding it in your awareness. Inhale as you widen the throat. Exhale, letting go to the left. Softening the tongue, the jaw, the face. Inhaling to center, widening the throat. And exhale, release to the right. That widening through, and go through 2 more rounds at your timing. Notice after the Nagavayu, which is the snake Vayu, this releasing, this purging. How do you feel? Maybe notice the taste in your mouth, the feeling in your jaw, your shoulders, your lips, your tongue, your throat. And letting your eyes softly open. So we're just going to take a moment to release the legs. So if you're cross-legged, you're just going to uncross your legs, shake them out. Notice which one was crossed, how your legs were crossed, and you're going to cross them the other way. If you're kneeling like me, I'm just going to turn off to the side, do a few ankle circles. A little tapping with the top of the feet. And just coming to sit back again. We're going to go into a meditation that helps to bring us back to this place of higher knowing, or the Buddhi, and this place of remembering. And the meditation is called So Hum. And on the inhalation is the sound So, and on the exhale is the sound Hum. And the sound is said internally as you inhale and exhale. So, inhale, exhale, hum. The English translation is I am all that is. So this remembering that we are all connected. Noticing if the palms want to be down on the legs for grounding or up. This mudra of wisdom, or Gyan mudra or Jnana mudra, is the pad of the index and the pad of the thumb connecting. So helping to bring in this path of Jnana yoga, this search for opening the heart, awakening the heart to their higher knowledge, this intuitive wisdom. Starting with a natural breath. When you're ready, inhaling So, exhaling Hum. Just flow at your rhythm. Just chant this internally for 5 minutes. Dedicating this part of the practice to this reminder of our Sankalpa as we hold our attention to So Hum. Taking a moment just to finish up your last few rounds of Soham, releasing the mudra if it's still being expressed through the fingers, wiggling them around. Take a couple breaths to notice how you feel. Releasing the legs. And taking a moment to lie down. Letting your legs have a moment of softly moving through a twist. Exhaling to each side. You might choose to hold one side for a little bit longer. Bring the legs up, give them a hug. Just take a moment to express the body through baby pose. So you might just bring a soft baby pose with the arms behind the thighs, rocking, holding ankles, maybe feet outside or the big toes. And then just asking yourself if there's any last expression through movement that you need to do before you come into your final pose of resting to receive the meditation. Asking your body what pose you would like to go into for your Shavasana. And as you move into your Shavasana, you might find that you want to be in a heart bed. So maybe a block with a bolster, creating a semi-incline for yourself. You might find a pillow in between the thighs. You might strap the thighs. You might extend the legs. So whatever it is that you need. So as we move through this awareness of this meditation on Samkyha, allowing your eyes to soften or close, feeling if there's any last movements that you need to go through to release any holding. Finding a flow of breath that resonates with you. There was once a planet called Purusha. One could say that Purusha was a perfect place where everyone lived happily. There was no time or space there. All the inhabitants felt absolutely complete. The only problem of the Purusha planet was that there was no mirror there. And without mirrors, the inhabitants of the planet could not see themselves or even know themselves, because in Purusha, There was no notion of separating one from the other. One day the inhabitants of Purusha planet heard about a distant planet called Prakriti. Prakriti was where it was possible to know oneself in a world of duality, living as an individual, each with its own identity. This world of duality could be perceived through the five senses: hearing, touch, sight, taste, and smell. When visiting Prakriti, the citizens of Purusha could continue to feel all peace and joy, at the same time also to know themselves. After this journey of investigation and learning, they would return home more aware of their real identity, citizens of the Purusha planet. To travel to planet Prakriti, the people of Purusha needed special aircrafts that could withstand the atmosphere of Prakriti. So they built aircrafts of the same five elements that made up the Prakriti planet: earth, water, fire, air, and space. Each aircraft was handcrafted with particular characteristics that followed the three basic models called Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. The Kapha aircrafts were dense and solid. The Pitta aircrafts were powerful and perfect. And the Vata aircrafts were light and fast. Each aircraft consisted of three basic components. The structure of the ship itself was called the physical body. The pilot responsible for driving the ship was called the mind. And the main passenger was called soul, the spirit that carries with it the essence of happiness and completeness of the Purusha planet. The journey to planet Prakriti and the return to planet Purusha would only be possible through the complete integration of body, mind, and spirit. Before leaving for the planet Prakriti, the inhabitants of the planet Purusha installed a powerful transmitting antenna so that they could always maintain contact with their planet. This antenna was called the Mahat, which means the great. Each aircraft also had a super intelligent onboard computer called the Buddhi, which means supreme intelligence, to ensure that the ship's pilot always had contact with the Purusha planet. All the aircraft left Purusha at the same time, but each one had its unique trajectory. The Kapha aircraft, heavy and slow, followed the journey at a steady pace. The Pitta aircraft, designed for perfect performance, sometimes got lost in unnecessary detail. The Vata aircraft made the journey more exciting, exploring different universes and planets, but often forgot where they had left the keys and wasted a lot of time searching. But at the end of the trip, all the aircraft arrived at Prakriti planet at the same time. As they approached Prakriti, the pilots prepared the necessary equipment and tools for the long-awaited exploration season. A set of equipment called the Jnana Indris served to receive information on Prakriti planet. Jnana Indris means tools to gain knowledge in the language of the planet, Purusha, called Sanskrit. The Jnana Indris constitutes the five senses: hearing, sight, smell, taste, and touch. They were also equipped with karma indris, which allowed Purusha citizens to perform actions on the Prakriti planet, such as talking, moving, picking up objects, eliminating ship waste, and even breeding new baby ships. With all this equipment, nothing could disrupt the journey of investigation and self-knowledge on the Prakriti planet. As they arrived in the atmosphere of Prakriti planet, the ships passed through a series of unexpected storms full of turbulence called Raja storms, which means strong turbulence. They also cross intervals of calm called tamas, where nothing moved. These cycles of Raja and Tamas were interspersed with brief moments of perfect balance called Sattva, when the journey flowed well without any effort. All aircraft finally landed on Prakriti planet, but the journey was very stressful. Most of the pilots were left with chronic amnesia, forgetting their original mission of exploration and self-knowledge. These pilots were dazed and dazzled by the experiences of the Prakriti planet, no longer remembering their original identity as citizens of planet Purusha. Intelligent communication systems, buddhi, were rusty due to the lack of use. Without buddhi functioning properly, pilots lost contact with the great Madhat antenna, and consequently with the planet Purusha. Over time, the citizens of Purusha came to believe they were citizens of the Prakriti planet. With their own responsibilities, they came to think that they were in Prakriti just to enjoy the shop windows of the various malls, walking in circles, consuming fuel, playing small ships. This condition of amnesia was called avidya. And this vicious circle of avidya was called samsara. However, a few pilots continued to remember their true citizenship and mission. They were called rishis, or seers, and had the ability to help the forgotten pilots to move away from the circular traffic patterns of the planet Prakriti and to recognize themselves again as citizens of the Purusha planet. Those who decided to return to their original identity needed to first repair their ships because of the chronic stress they suffered from the overuse of the jnana indris and the karma indris. The repairs were called out in workshops that used a science called Ayurveda, specializing in rebalancing the 5 elements, raw materials of the ships. At times, the system of the ships were so clogged and unbalanced that they had to undergo a complete cleaning service called panchakarma. After the ships had undergone this complete treatment, they felt the need to have in hand an instruction manual to guide them on the way back to Purusha. One of the most well-known and efficient return manuals was one compiled by a sage named Patanjali. The name of the manual was called Ashtanga Yoga, a manual that contained the 8 steps of return to Purusha. These are described next. The first 2 steps, yama and niyama, describe how the pilot should behave on the return journey. The 3rd step, called asana, was needed to ensure that the aircraft structure would remain stable and secure to make the trip comfortable and safe. The 4th step, pranayama, gave instructions on proper supply and distribution of energy during the journey. The fifth step, pratyahara, was to remove the attention of the pilots from all the distractions of the Prakriti planet so they could concentrate on the mission back to planet Purusha. The sixth step was dharana, set a right and continuous direction towards the Purusha planet. The seventh step was dhyana, or meditation, described as an ideal state of flight in which all ship systems, body, mind, and spirit, would be fluctuating in an integrated manner, guided by buddhi, in constant contact with the Mahat, continuous clear communication with Purusha. Through this manual of the 8 steps of Patanjali, many ships were able to return home. When they arrived, they reassumed their true identity. They reassumed their true identity as citizens of Purusha planet, returning to a state of perfect union, called samadhi, the last step. When they returned, however, the citizens of Purusha were no longer the same as when they had departed. Now these Purusha citizens had the experience of the mirror of self-knowledge. They knew the Prakriti planet, the world of duality, and then returning to the Purusha planet, became fully aware of an intrinsic nature of peace and completeness. The deepest learning of this journey, which is the journey of all of those who walk the path of yoga, is that Purusha and Prakriti are in really only one planet, and that we can live life in a state of Purusha in the midst of the world of Prakriti. The deepest learning of this journey, which is the journey of all of those who walk the path of yoga, is that Purusha and Prakriti are in reality only one planet, and that we can live life in the state of Purusha in the midst of the world of Prakriti. We can live in the state of Purusha within the midst of the world of Prakriti. This piece was written by Joseph LePage. Taking a moment to put your hands back on your heart, noticing any reflections from the children's story on Samkyha, this map of our consciousness, this evolution of our consciousness, and this involution back to remembering. Reaffirming your Sankalpa, this intention. This knowing, this remembering. Releasing your hands and just taking some time to wiggle your fingers, Noticing the feet and the toes wiggling, the arms. Taking a stretch, a lengthen, a yawn, and releasing any props that are no longer needed. Just taking the next minute to rise up to a seated position to end our class together. Taking our mudra of gratitude when you arrive here, thumbs touching our heart center, anahata. The hands touching one another as your attention rests there. Feeling the energy move through your arms, your elbows, your shoulders, into the center of your heart. Feel your breath flowing through your body. We'll end our practice flowing through 3 Oms. Noticing your inhale, letting go of the exhale out the mouth. Inhaling for Om. Two more rounds at your rhythm. Softly letting your eyes open. Thanking yourself for the journey and the openness and the willingness to explore, grow, and evolve. Thank you so much. Namaste.